Welcome to Sold Out Sales School, the podcast for women with heart-led, impact-driven offers who are tired of being the internet's best-kept secret. I'm Trish Ware, mom of 7, former labor nurse turned 7-figure business owner and business mentor for B2C brands. If you're marketing to moms, parents, or real people who are not going to make money off your offer, this show was made for you. You tried the big name coaches, but their strategies weren't built for your audience. Here, we do sales differently. No bro marketing, no cold DMs, no weird hooks, no fake urgency, just clear messaging, aligned offers, and strategy that actually converts. You're not here to hustle harder and miss all your family events. You're here to scale smarter with simplicity. So let's get you sold out. Hey there, and welcome back to Sold Out Sales School. I'm your host, Trish Ware, and today we're diving deep into something that's costing you sales every single day, and you may not even realize it. How many times have you been on a discovery call or a masterclass or a workshop and feeling like everything's going perfect, and then bam, someone is like, well, I need to talk to my husband first, or it's just too expensive right now, or I just need to think about it. And suddenly that energy that you had, that slam dunk sale, walks out the door. Or maybe at the end of your workshop, you're feeling it and you're like, yes, they're going to buy. And you're like, who here purchased tonight? Who's a new student? And zip. Here's what I know after working with lots of women and building multiple 6-figure businesses. Those objections did not start on your workshop. They did not start on your sales call. They didn't start on that discovery call. They started the moment that person found your content. And why I'm so obsessed with content is it can do all the heavy lifting for you. And if you're not addressing them before they ever get onto your workshop or they get onto a discovery call, you're making your sales process 10 times harder than it needs to be. So today, I'm going to teach you guys exactly how to use my 3 types of content. Remember, inspirational, educational, and authority. I need a better name for that. Authoritative? I don't know. To handle objections before they even become objections. By the end of this episode, you'll have a complete framework for creating content that does the heavy lifting in your sales process. We want to nip this in the bud before they even get into your funnel. So grab your coffee and pull out a notebook. Y'all know I like paper and pen, and let's dive in. Here's what's fascinating. I was just on a coaching call with one of my mastermind clients yesterday, and she said something that stopped me in my tracks. She said, Trish, I feel like I'm having the same conversations over and over again. Every discovery call, it's the same 3 objections. To me, that is gold. And so I said to her, that is not a sales problem. That is a content problem. And it's a content gold mine. When you have objections, you need to be documenting them. Keep a spreadsheet, keep screenshots, and use them in your content, because here's what most people don't understand. Your sales conversation doesn't start when someone books a call with you. It starts the very first time they see your content. Every post, every story, every email is either moving them closer across the sales bridge, the content sales bridge, I call them, closer to a yes, or it's allowing doubt to creep in. And remember, I'm going to bring my handy little guy here, and hopefully you guys can see it. Let me find my pen, because I'm obviously not adequately prepared right now. Sorry. So when you're moving them, and I'm going to move this over a little so you guys can see me and hopefully still hear me. When you have your content sales bridge or your sales bridge, you've got them over here where they're just finding you, and over here where they're happy and they got the outcome that they want. And if you remember, I want you to focus on one pain problem and one outcome, preferably one offer that moves them to that outcome. Now, once you've created a multi-6-figure or 6-figure sales from your one offer, you can add on to that offer. Now, I'm not talking about bonuses or tripwires. You should have those as well. So over here, they just found you. They're at the beginning of your content sales bridge, and they're not thinking much about you, but as they see your content, they do the micro experiences, they're moving over here. One of the huge steps in this is objections. So I always tell my clients, and you may have heard me say this before, the more you handle objections in your content, the more content you have to handle objections before they become objections. It's like building across stair steps across the bridge. And it's like building up the immune system for when they come to your micro experiences or they get on a call with you. Pre-handling objections changes everything. So let's paint a picture, if you will. Imagine you're on a discovery call, and instead of spending 30 minutes overcoming, oh, well, I need to talk to my husband objection, the person says, you know what? I saw your post about having that conversation with my partner and we're both on board. Or instead of justifying your pricing for 20 minutes, they say, I've been following you for months and I understand that this is an investment in my family's future. That's the power of pre-handling objections through content. And I don't care if you have a low ticket offer to a high ticket offer, people have objections no matter where they're at in your sales ecosystem. So you're not just creating posts, you're creating a sales funnel that does the objection handling for you. Each and every one of your posts is like a little glimpse into your sales page. And the 3 types of content, the framework that I use, and if you've been following me for a while, you know I teach 3 types of content, which is inspirational, educational, and authority content. So when we're talking about those 3 types of content, today I want to show you how to use each of these specifically for objection handling. Now, you may be listening to this as a podcast or watching it on YouTube. Either way, be a sweetheart and hit subscribe and follow along on this journey. So inspirational content is all about making them feel seen and understood. So when we're talking about the content sales bridge, right, we're bringing them know, like, and trust. So we're bringing them across the know, like, and trust bridge, right? And we've already talked about there's different steps to get across to get them over here with the ultimate outcome of what they want. Inspirational content is all about the know. Now, you guys have heard me say this. The know is not just about knowing you. It's do you know them? So your inspirational content is all about making them feel seen and understood. This is where you use you language. You feel, you are. You language is what you want to do. And you always use you language, calling out exactly what they're thinking and feeling. And this is going to be the one that stops them in their tracks, no matter what your niche is, or no matter who your BFE is. Educational content is where you break myths and you shift those broken beliefs that are keeping them stuck. The limiting beliefs, like do a whole deep dive on limiting beliefs and broken beliefs, and even go into AI and say, this is my BFE. This is who my ideal client is, if you will. I call it your best fan ever. This is what she's struggling with. This is where she wants to go. Here's my offer. What are some limiting beliefs or broken beliefs that I can address in my content to help her move from not buying my offer to buying my offer? That is so important. Your authority content is your proof. Now, let me go back a little bit. Educational content, you're still using you language. Sometimes you use I, but mostly you. So inspirational you, educational content, you language. Now, when we're talking about authority content, this is your proof. This is your behind the scenes. This is why I teach my clients how to build a framework. This is where you show them you can actually deliver and bring her over here, because really people are going to buy from you when they believe that you can deliver what you say you can deliver, whether it's big or small. This is the content. The authority content is where you show them you can actually deliver on what you're promising. And you're going to use you language and they language. So if you're talking about your client, you're talking about your client. If you're talking about you and your framework, you talk about that. But you can also use you language. So an authority content for me, being a content and messaging that creates sales coach, that's a mouthful, right? But I do believe in content and messaging is what will grow your sales, whether you're doing it paid or you're doing it organically. Content and messaging is the key. So for me, maybe I could say POV. You were a burnt out nurse who was living paycheck to paycheck. And now, because of your online offer, you're flying first class to Europe once a year. I'm saying you language. They know I'm talking about me, but I'm also bringing them in inclusively to show them that it's possible for them as well. Whenever I write a caption, I always start, if I'm starting with I language, I always quickly switch to you language. Each type of these contents, inspirational, educational, authority, should be handling objections differently. And when you use them strategically, you create this like beautiful symphony, harmony that moves people across that bridge from skeptical to sold. So let's talk about like some real examples. The I need to talk to my husband objection. And I don't care if you're selling a $197 offer to, like me, I have a $25,000 offer for my highest level coaching. You're going to get, let me talk to my partner, or let me talk to my husband. And we want to start with the objection I hear most, which is, I need to talk to my husband first. Of course you do. Here's how I handle this with inspirational content. You would say something like, you're sitting there thinking about investing in yourself and up-leveling your business, but that voice in your head says, I should probably talk to my husband first. You feel guilty about spending money on yourself when there are bills to pay and kids who need things. You've been putting everyone else's needs before your own for so long that asking for something to invest in you feels selfish. Things like that, where I'm addressing what she's really feeling, because I was her. But I can also say in my content, but here's what I know after working with hundreds of moms: the women who invest in themselves don't just change their own lives, they change their entire family's trajectory. And I remember one time I had a potential client, she ended up signing up, and she said, I just feel so bad investing in my business because my husband is working so hard and I'm staying at home right now. And I remember saying to her, but what if you investing into your business allows your husband to have time off, or you're able to retire your husband? Like I could for Steve Ware, but he will not, because he wouldn't do that. But imagine if the very thing you're afraid of is the thing that changes your family's trajectory. Like, how do you say that in a way that lands? Or your husband married a woman with dream and ambitions. Like, go him. He wants to see you thrive, not just survive. And what if instead of asking permission, you had a conversation about your vision for your family's future? Just how you address this in your content allows that to plant seeds in her head so that she already has the conversation. She already has the words she needs to hear that will work for her. And I'm not arguing with the objection. I'm meeting them where they are. I'm acknowledging, yes, this is for real, but reframing the outcome. What if investing into a mastermind with someone who's already been there, who's already built a 7-figure and a multi-6-figure business, is what's going to be the catapult to change your family's situation? Now, here's how you could handle the same type of objection with educational content. Maybe a carousel post that says 4 scripts for talking to your partner about investing in your business or in your dreams or whatever it is. Slide 1, stop saying, I want to spend money, or are you okay if I spend money on this program? And start saying, I want to invest in our family's future. The next one could be something like, stop saying it costs $3,000. Start saying, for less than $10 a day, I can learn skills that will change our financial situation. It's how you frame it. But But really, it's not about talking to their husband. It's about what are they saying to themselves. And let's flip that narrative and give them a positive outlet. You get the idea. So I'm giving them actual tools to handle their own objection. For authority content, I might share a behind the scenes story with a client. Let's say her name is Chrissy. I just got off a call with Chrissy, who told me her husband was initially skeptical about her joining the mastermind. 6 months later, he's telling everyone how proud he is of her 15K months. Sometimes the people who love us most are just scared of us failing, but when they see us succeed, they are invested, right? And so it's really just about how you frame it. Now, another one would be it's too expensive. So that one really starts with you sharing the outcome and the value, but not in a way where you're like, I think that, or it just costs this, or like it's how you show up. And the pricing objection, this one trips up a lot of my clients. For inspirational content, you might say, you saw the price and your stomach dropped. $29.97 feels impossible when you're already stretching every dollar. So you acknowledge what they're feeling when they see the price, right? You're thinking about your mortgage, your kids' activities, that car repair, or that coach you invested in that was a waste. And you are thinking, how could I possibly justify spending? Now, I would use you language. How could you possibly justify spending that much on your business? But what if I told you the real expense isn't the investment, it's staying stuck? You're not going to get where you want to go if you don't change what you're doing. And what if the cost of not changing is actually higher than the cost of the investment? For educational content, you could do something like you could create the real cost of staying stuck, a 5-year breakdown or something like a 3-year breakdown, whatever. You could show them if you stay where you are, making 10K a year for the next 5 years or 30K a year for the next 5 years, that's 150K total. However, if you invest 3K now and increase your income to 100K a year, that's 500K over 5 years. The question isn't whether you can afford to invest. The question is, can you afford to stay where you're at? Will you change your life if you stay doing what you're doing? And we all know the old thing, what is it? If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you're always going to get what you've always been getting, something like that. So let's say for authority content, Lisa invested $2,997 in March. She made that back in her first month and has since had multiple 20K months. The ROI on working with me isn't just financial, it's the confidence. So you can see how you can go ahead, put it in your feed and address the objections ahead of time. You're also going to hear, I don't have time. And that one's huge, especially for moms. And I address that a lot in my different types of content by talking about my own story. And I can legitimately share my story. Nobody can copy that. No one can argue with my story. And I get it, right? Because I started Labor Nurse Mama when I was going through a horrific divorce, suddenly single, working full-time as a nurse, homeschooling 3 kids, doing travel assignments, and I was empty. But I knew that the cost of continuing that would mean I would never have freedom and I would never have choices. And I don't care what anyone tells you, money is not evil. It gives you freedom and choices. So the people who don't have time are exactly the ones who need it the most. What if I share how I got up early and I went to bed late, but within a year, I had tripled my ex-husband's income? What if I share in my content a busy mom's guide to finding 10 extra hours a week so that they can grow a 7-figure business? Because I did it. And I use that in my authority content as well. So I could say my client has 3 kids under 5 and she told me I don't have time to build a business. Now she's making 20K months working during nap time and after bedtime. You don't need more time. You just need better strategy and intention. So we want to make sure that you are implementing objection handling every step of the way. That's what we need to do. So here's your to-do list. I want you to audit your current content. Look at least 20 posts and ask yourself, what objections have I handled? If you have. If you haven't, that's fine. Write that down. Which objections am I hearing the most? And am I avoiding any objections in my content? Then I want you to create your objection bank. Write down the 10 top objections. And I want you guys to start looking at objections as gold. Like when you hear no's, that's great. You're hearing future content to handle future no's. So create one piece of content for each objection using each type of content type. So that's 30 pieces of content right there if you have 10 objections. Then I want you to post them strategically. Don't just randomly throw them out there to grow on social media and make sales. Now, any of you guys can take an Instagram growth course, do all the things, get all the attention and grow, but we don't care about that, right? We care about growing strategically with people who are going to buy our offers, because what's the point? Don't just randomly throw your content out there. Post objective handling content periodically, especially during launches, during sales periods, and whenever you're seeing patterns in your DMs where you're hearing the same thing, right? And then one of my coaches said, data makes decisions and decisions make dollars. So you have to measure and refine. Which posts got the most engagement? Which ones generated the most DMs? Now, the thing that I am seeing in social media right now is people are not engaging at the same level. So whether or not you got engagements or high views or whatever, these are a bank of information for your lurkers, and your lurkers are going to build your business. Any of these objections lead to sales call, or did you hear any feedback? Make sure you're keeping track of that. So pro tip from the trenches, I've learned from doing this for 7 years, is use their exact words. So screenshot your DMs and your comments all the time, because I want you to use exactly what they're saying. Don't try to fluff it up or change it or make it sound better. Don't use your own, use theirs. So if someone says, I did this when I first started coaching, someone said, I just don't know if I can do this. I have a baby, or I have a toddler and I'm pregnant with my next baby, and I don't know that this is the right time. And so I did a thing that said POV. You're pregnant with your second, you have a toddler, and you're wondering, is this the right time to build the business? And I would say, now is the perfect time, and here's why. And in the caption, I talked about why that is the perfect time, so that she could control her postpartum period, so that she had money coming in when she wasn't back on the floor because she was a nurse. So second, flip the script on the negative thinking. Instead of letting them spiral into these what if I fails, redirect them to what if I succeed. So what if you succeed because of this decision? Why do we have to go to the what if I fail? No, that's not an option. We're flipping that. Third, be direct. Don't be cute, be clear. One of my coaches said, don't be cute, be clear. So whenever I start being cute, I'm like, Trish, don't be cute. I see so many people trying to be clever with their messaging, but that just confuses people. Your content is not where you need to be cutesy and clever. If you want to have like a Twitter account or something, maybe be that, I don't know, but confused buyers don't buy. So make it so simple that my 10-year-old could understand it, what you're offering and why they need it. And this is going to build a compound effect. So here's what's beautiful about this approach is it compounds. Every piece of objection handling content you create becomes an asset that works for you while you're sleeping 24/7. That post you wrote 6 months ago about talking to your husband, it's still there doing its job, especially when you're smart with your SEO and your alt image text and all of that. It's still converting. And I have posts from 2019 that are still bringing me students, especially on Pinterest, because they address why they need my course and why their objections are keeping them from having the birth they desire. And here's the kick. The more you do this, the shorter your sales calls become, and the more adept you become at handling it, because you've already created a piece of content and thought through the whole process in your own brain. So instead of spending an hour overcoming objections and then getting off of a discovery call or a masterclass or a micro experience feeling defeated, you have talked about the outcome and already handled the objections, and your close rate, your sales rate shortens and goes up, and you start making sales with the people that are meant to be there. The people are already pre-sold, and that just makes your life so much easier. Okay, beautiful humans, let's wrap this up with some action steps. First, I want you to write down the 3 objections you hear most often. Go back to in the middle of the episode, I give you some more strategies and things to do. Don't overthink this. You know what they are. Choose one objection today, and I want you to post it today. Don't over fluff it. Don't over perfect it. Just be real. Use their language, and then go back and do the steps that I gave you earlier, the frameworks I gave you, and pay attention to what happens when you post that content. And let's see how fast you can grow this business. I am so proud of you guys. Remember, you are the magic. So this was your little kick in the booty to get going, take action, because action takers are money makers. Make sure you're following me on Instagram. I am Trish Ware, and send me a DM and tell me how this landed with you. Hit subscribe, leave a review, leave a comment. I'm here and I'm ready to help you take your work to your next level. I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.